Week 1's in the books. Week 2 is here, and don't worry, it's just 1 week. If you had a Hunt and you're all nervous, Dustin's over there. Nameco's here, and I didn't mean to start with Hunt. Heaven forbid we talk about Hunt. Dustin, go ahead. I'm just going down a rabbit hole. This is bad.
There you go.
This is bad.
Thank you to our sponsor, MyBookie.ag. Check them out. Click the link in the description. One of the fun things that they've added this year is you can bet over-unders on fantasy players and how many points they're going to score, which is a nice little addition to obviously all the lines and everything that you can bet. Use promo code SMACK. You get matched 100% up to $1,000 on your first deposit, so check that out. Mr. Nameco, let's talk about some quarterbacks.
All right. I'm talking about a guy that had 5 turnovers last week. So why is he in our top 10? So Big Ben comes in at number 7. Now he does have a shoulder. Am I correct with that? Elbow. I knew it was something with his arm. He's got a little bit of an elbow issue, but I think he's going to play. I'm not too concerned about that. Yes, he had 3 picks. Yes, he had 2 fumbles last week, but it was a bad weather that was going on in Cleveland. It was just ugly. And the real reason we have him number 7 and why I really love him this week is that Chiefs secondary is terrible. Phillip Rivers shredded him for over 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. It's just a really, really bad 70, which is why you might like.
What?
What are you going to talk about?
Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, because if that one secondary isn't good, then they're getting a lot of points scored on, so then he needs
He's going to have to throw a lot.
Yep, I was trying to set you up. You were not listening to a word I said about Big Ben. That's what was happening.
I listened to some of it.
You didn't listen to anything.
I listened to the elbow part, and he made it funny. He said, someone asked him how his elbow was, and he said, I have 2 elbows. And I thought it was
pretty good. That's not bad.
It's like, oh, Big Ben. Kind of
Look at you. Look at you.
Patrick Mahomes at number 9 at Pittsburgh. I mean, we all saw what he did last week. Threw for 4 touchdowns. The guy is living up to the hype. He looks very impressive. That offense looks impressive. We have him as a QB1. I want to see another game before we put him any higher than this. I think he could very easily, keep moving up these rankings until he starts getting into the top 5 every week. But I want to see a little bit more out of it. It's, it's still early, but it just looks like that Chiefs offense has everything that they need to do, everything they need to have a big year. So we have him as a QB1 this week.
Dude, I used my number 3 waiver on him. I have not used a waiver on a quarterback in
I used mine on Watson last year.
That worked out.
For a while. But yeah, I mean, they look good. They look good.
It's interesting. All right, let's keep talking about the Chiefs. Mr. Hunt. We got him ranked at number 8 right now. His total looked scary, right? No touchdowns, 49 yards, wasn't really in the passing game. So all those things are concerns, but he did have 16 rushing attempts. I'm hearing all these people be like, well, Ware actually got more. Hunt's still the man out there, but Ware is going to dig into it, and Andy Reid, he's sometimes a little bit scared at the running backs. We talked about it coming in this year. Hunt had a weird stretch last year, so while it's a little bit nerve-wracking, do not bench Hunt this week. And we've had some questions. Don't do it. It was 1 week. Don't overthink it.
Those Chiefs studs are going to take turns from week to week, I feel. Last week it was Hill.
I'm talking about Hill, too. I'm talking about all these Chiefs. I might audible. Dustin. Fine. Let's see.
Fournette, I want to talk about. We have him at number 20 right now. He's dealing with that hamstring injury. As of right now, I would guess that he's probably going to try to play. But he's going to test it later in the week. We'll see. Going up against New England. It's a little scary because even if he does play, he could tweak it. Or, if they get way down or, maybe they get way up, who knows. There's just a lot of scenarios where he might not get his same workload. So as of right now, we got him at 20. He could move up or down depending on reports for the week. But right now, he just seems to make sense at 20. Who you got?
What did Peyton Manning used to always say? Montana? Idaho? Omaha! I was going to do an audible. It was going to be funny. All right, audible time. Not talking about Hill. I'm talking about...
Well, we're still talking about running backs, so maybe you should talk about your second running back.
I'm talking about Chris Thompson.
There you go.
This is a terrible show for me. Now, Dustin's giving me a D-plus performance in my grade off this. All right, Chris Thompson. He beat me at darts. He normally doesn't beat me in darts. It's messing with my head. Chris Thompson at number 24. Here's the thing with Chris Thompson. He had 5 rush attempts. They went for 65 yards. That was nice. He had 7 targets. Caught 6 of those for 63 yards and a touch. He's never going to get much more than 12 touches a game, but he's certainly explosive. It reminds me of like when Jamal Charles was splitting carries and getting that small sample size each game, but having the potential to blow up. That's what it is, but we can rank him so much higher because sometimes he's not going to break the long one, and Adrian Peterson's clearly going to be fed the rock for the Redskins, but he is clearly a flex consideration every single week.
Marlon Mack, I want to talk about at number 38. It looks like he's going to play this week, and I just really think he's the best running back out there with the Colts. You look at what he did last year, wasn't all that impressive, but he didn't have luck. And I just think that offense is going to be obviously much better this year. I don't think we know Mack's true potential. He's available in a ton of leagues still, which doesn't make any sense to me. Pick him up. I think he does deserve some flex consideration this week, especially if the reports are positive on his injury.
Omaha! Omaha! Talking about Keenan Allen, not talking about another Kansas City Chief. Talking about Keenan Allen, and this is all I want to say. Keenan Allen, when healthy, is every bit as good as Julio Jones.
Okay.
That's what he is. He is a bona fide number one stud wide receiver. Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, all the same. If you can get Keenan Allen for if he has even a little bit of a down week this week, you can get him for a deal. Do it. He's a stud. That's all I'm saying. Love me Keenan Allen. How long have I loved Keenan Allen?
Yeah, and how long has he let you down with getting hurt every year?
He did good last year, and he looked good week 1.
Yeah, he did. Josh Gordon at 17. Didn't get all that involved week 1, but he did have one catch for a touchdown.
Ooh.
And what a catch it was.
Nice.
I was happy to see it. I love watching really good receivers play, and he's just amazing when he's on top of his game and healthy. They're saying he's going to start this week going up against the Saints. They could be playing from behind. We've moved him way up this week as we got him as a wide receiver too. We think he's finding most lineups.
Number 29, I want to talk about Jamison Crowder, who didn't have like a stellar game by any means week 1. But Alex Smith, we didn't talk about him in our quarterback rankings. We have him, I believe, right around our top 10. What is he, Dustin? Alex Smith?
Most underrated quarterback ever.
Super disrespected, super underrated. And Crowder, the reason I like him this week is that Colts secondary is trash. Kansas City might be the second worst. To me, the Colts is the worst secondary in the league. Start your receivers, start your quarterbacks against them. Crowder's going to get a lot of catches in a PPR league.
Now I want to talk about number 40, Chris Godwin. He had a good game week 1, and that Tampa Bay offense, that was the surprise of week 1. There was a lot of surprises. That one definitely was the one for me.
That was like the first game, so it was just like, oh my God.
It was impressive. But Deshaun Jackson, as of this point, it looks like he's a long shot to play. He might, but if he doesn't play, we think Godwin is certainly someone to consider. They're going up against Philly. You don't necessarily like that, but I do think, you got to have a little bit of confidence in that Tampa offense after what we saw last week. And don't forget, get your questions in. We try to answer as many as we can. FST West will be in here as well, answering questions. We had a ton last week. And don't forget to help everyone else out as well. Answer questions, ask questions. We want these videos to be kind of like a little forum for people to come in the comments section and partake in some discussions.
Yeah. All right, tight ends. I love this guy, George Kittle. And what do I love? I love targets. Above everything else for pass catchers, I love targets. He got 9 of them last week. 9 targets, 5 catches, 90 yards. Jimmy G scared me. Didn't look great, but he did look to Kittle a lot, which I like, and that's why he's inside our top 5 this week.
And another surprise week 1, Jared Cook. Oh my goodness. That guy, he was on a mission. He was plowing people over. He's had some good games, but I've never seen him play that physical and that aggressive. That was impressive. 9 catches for 180 yards. He would be higher on this list if he wasn't at Denver. That's just a little scary, especially with, Oakland's offense did not look good the second half. So, Cook, we think, he got picked up in a lot of leagues. He should go right into a lot of lineups if someone that had Delaney Walker or Olsen picked him up, but it's hard to rank him any higher because of his matchup.
And we know what Seattle's tight ends did against Denver, and we know that Denver's heard they're terrible against the tight end, but they've heard that too, and they saw what Cook did. That's all we're saying.
It's still a good defense.
Yeah, that's just, you know how the goblins are. little Tex goblins. All right, defense, but I love you goblins. Love you.
Do you?
Some of them I love. All right, talking about the Chargers. How are they ranked number 2? They got me negative points last week. They're trash. No, they are not trash. They're actually better than they looked last week. I think Patty kicked them in their teeth and they didn't even know what to do, or Tyreek Hill really did. So this week, though, they're playing against the Bills. And my God, I know, Mr. Interception Peterman isn't going to be playing, but you still got a rookie. I'm not scared of the receivers. McCoy, he doesn't look good. The line doesn't look good. Over-under in this game is 42.5. The Chargers are favored by 7.5. That means, Vegas basically thinks 18 points, or more than Vegas now. The bookies basically think 18 points for the Bills. I might even take the under out of that. So it's going to be, if you had the Chargers last week, it gets better this week.
Number 9, I want to talk about Jacksonville going up against New England. They're in Jacksonville. The over-under on this one on mybookie.ag is 45. So I think there'll be a okay amount of points in this one. But if you drafted the Jags D, you were planning on starting them almost every single week. But this might be one of the weeks where you think about streaming a defense. Obviously, you're not going to drop them, but if you see one of the defenses available that's higher up on this list, you might want to stream. But all it takes is one good play to have a solid week for your defense.
There's Texans available in a lot of leagues because they play New England week 1.
Probably. So that's it for week 2. Like I said, post some comments, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Good luck week 2.
Dart throw, trip 20.
Nope. That looked like a 1. It was a little to the right.
I'd say a 12er.
It was a 1.